Hi, Jeanette. All right, let's start the recording. Happy Friday, people. Happy 2013. Yay. And how did you guys like the stream-a-thon on Monday night? Wasn't that great? Oh, that was so much fun. I was in every stream, except I didn't know Joycey went back on camera after Jen's final stream, so I missed that part. But it was, oh, that was so much fun. So much fun. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so today we are going to make paper feathers, but I thought I might show you my Jen calendar book first. It's almost finished. I still have to do the ribbon on the binding and I put the 2013 on the cover, but other than that, it's done. This is DCWV. Yes, I said it right. Hey, yay. Timepiece. No, not timepiece. That's Bo Bunny. What's this called again? Oh, that's terrible. This is Tattered Time. That's it. It's right behind me so I can look. Tattered Time. Yeah, DCWV. Tattered Time. Yeah. So that's the front and that's the back. This is only the second time I've used this paper. I have a really hard time cutting it. It's so pretty. I have a really hard time cutting it. But I've got everything is done, and you can see the word ants right there. That's all that's in, but it's all done. And I aged the edges really quickly with the stain. Let's see, what did I use? I used Vintage Photo Stain. So you can see that the edges are nice and brown. And I didn't have to do all the flicking of each page. I just held the block together, stained it, you know, put the distress stain on all the edges, and got it done. I did it to the pages before, I mean, after I cut them out, I did it to the pages, and then I did it to the back, you know, the background pages, the base pages. So, cool. Very neat project. Love this. I think I'm going to make another one for my mom. Except maybe I'll do hers out of a romance novel. The Prima Paper romance novel. Like that. So I'm going to do the 2013 kind of diagonally this way. I had some letters from Seven Gypsies, but they were too big, so I have to use my Sizzix die and cut some numbers out and put those on here. So, yay, but it's an almost finished project. Very close. Okay. You guys will have to excuse my coughing. My flu is not gone yet. But no fever for 2 days, so that's a good thing. Okay, so we're going to make paper feathers today, and what you're looking at is my stack of decovered paperback or hardcover books. So all I have here is the paper signatures, and I've stacked them up like this and tied them so that I won't put anything on top of them. I'm a stacker. Yes, I'm a piler. If there's an empty space, I'm going to put something there. So I decorate instead. This is practical decorating because it's usable text blocks. So I've just tied it up with some twine and some a strip of muslin fabric. And then I have all these text blocks. Different sizes, different fonts, different ages, books. So I've got all of these things to choose from. So I think what I'll do is go for a bigger one right now. All right, so I'm going to grab a couple of these sheets. This has nice text all the way. There's no big spaces, so that's good. I really want to use dictionary paper, but my dictionaries that I use for stuff like this is occupied and covered with decorative stuff. So we shall have to do what we can with this paper. All right, so okay, depending on what size you want your feathers, of course, it will depend on your text block. So, recording. Yes, I am recording. So you want to fold your paper in half, and you can, if you need to, sketch a feather. So I'm just going to really quickly do this, and then I'm going to cut it out double and open it up. Okay, so we're going to start with a medium-sized feather. Now, go ahead. You don't have to leave a point with the paper. Okay, what you're going to do is use wire for that part. Okay, so here's a rough cut. All right. So what you want to do is, actually, we need 2 of those, don't we? Okay, let me start again. All right. So take 2 pages, hold them together because we need 2 layers. Forgot that part. Sorry. I haven't done this in a while. And yes, I'm a little froggy. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just going to cut. I'm not even going to bother to sketch. And I'm skipping the part of the page that has no text on it. It just looks better. When you do a feather, you kind of want, and this one's a little different shape, you kind of want the bottom to be a little bit bigger, right? And I will sometimes leave a little peak there. Okay, so here is what my feather is going to look like. Okay. Morning, Eileen. Okay, so now the center is marked by the fold. All right, so now we've got 2 layers. So now we need wire, which I forgot to get. Okay, hang on. Figures. Please forget something. Okay, I think over Christmas I moved my wire box. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'll open a new one. I don't know where the used one is. I can't find my regular wire box. I must have buried it. I've got to do some cleaning here pretty soon. Okay, so this is Hobby Lobby on a wire, and this is 20 gauge. And this is the same wire I was using to make the ornament holders that Mitzi showed us how to do. That in the recycle bin. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. I'm going to need some help getting this undone. Okay, I gotta grab pliers. Hang on. Pliers and wire cutters. Okay, and I'll be up and down getting stuff because I overslept this morning and the result is I'm not prepared. But that's okay. We've been through this before. Okay, trying to get the wire undone. They put both ends in the same opening hole or slot, and it's hard to get it out of there without letting it go sprawling. So I'm trying not to sprawling. Okay. So basically want about 12 inches of wire. And I really should have my safety glasses on. Wear safety glasses when working with wire. Now, when I'm working with the wire, I temporarily will hold it to the spool by a clothespin over the end of it because I don't want to bend that down until I'm finished. It's just wasting wire. So I like to hold it with a clothespin, you know, so it doesn't sprawling and go everywhere. And it'll sit up like this, so that's a good thing. Okay, this sweater's got to go. I turned the heat up, and the sweater's got to go. They said we had a little snow flurry this morning, but I wasn't awake to see that. Of course, the snow didn't stick because it wasn't cold enough. I think it only got to 37. At least that's what they said last night when I checked. I'll check later and see what it actually got to. All right, so what we want to do is straighten the wire. And you can use floral wire as well. There we go. I'm trying to keep this straight. All right, I've got to get let me get my tools out. That's just all there is to it. I just have to get the tools. Okay, so to straighten the wire, hold on to it with one, and then, I don't know the technical term for these guys, but they have flat, very, very flat insides, and you hold the wire and then you pull straight. And it pretty much straightens out the wire. And sometimes it's hard to do, like right now. Okay. Wow. That was more difficult than it should have been, but okay. Okay, so that part's done. Now, mine's a little long, but that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue this into the paper feathers we've cut out. So I've got my glue, and I'm losing my wire. Oh, you know, I need my mat. Let's see, what did I do with my mat? Sorry, I am just not prepared this morning. Jump up and get everything. Here we go. There's one. This'll work. All right. Slip this under there because I really don't want glue all over this desk. Okay, so we're going to put the wire in. And I think I'm going to go ahead and trim this off, and I think I'm going to leave about 4 inches at the bottom to work with for later on. So I guess I've got about 8 inches of wire at this point. And my leaf itself is about 6 inches, 6.5, something like that. Okay, I just used the text block as my guide. A vise, yes. That, however, is in the cold garage. I don't want to go out there. It's like Siberia. Okay, so, okay. Hello. Wakey, wakey glue. All right, I'm going to use my, the bad end of the wire to poke my glue. Okay, that should do it. Yes. There we go. All right, now. Okay, anyway, I'm making a line of glue on the leaf and put the mostly straight wire in. But I'm going to leave an area at the top because I want to cut my featherings up there. Okay? And I'm going to put a little more glue on this side because I want the paper to conform around the wire. So at this point, I'm going to turn the leaf over, this other one over, since it's already folded. And yes, I like that side of the text, or else I'd turn it. So you just match it up, putting your wire right down the center, and you push. Now what this does, gives you a vein, okay? And we're still going to be able to work with this. Okay, so here's what you have. It doesn't show much on this side, but that's okay. If you look at a real leaf, there's one side that has the deep vein and the other side, you don't see so much. Okay, so what you're going to do now is, you might want to let it dry a little bit, but I'm not going to right now because I was supposed to prepare some of these ahead of time. I didn't do it, so I'll just have to wash the scissors off later. All right, I like to start at the top. So when I make my cuts, these are the Temi scissors. And so I like these because the blade's not too long. So it gives me a guide when I'm doing my feathers. If you look at the Temi scissors, one side has a word here, and that has like made in whatever, China or whatever. But I like to look at this side where the word is because I'll use one of these letters as my measurement. So if and each one of these is different because I don't use a template. You can make yourself a template if you want. But I just do it freehand, so each one is different. So there's the tip of my wire. I want to stay away from the wire. Okay. Sometimes I'll stay a 1/4 inch away, sometimes a little more, a little less. Depends on the feather and what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so, but the only place there's glue, remember, is right inside here where the wire is. so you won't run into that. Okay, so I'm just going to start cutting, and you want to be careful to angle just a little bit as you go, and you don't want to cut off your little feathers, so you want to be careful when you're cutting at the end. So you're going to angle around till you get to the point where you're at this angle, and then you want to go down. Okay, just like a feather. Okay, so sometimes I will cut a guide and work my way to it, and then I will go back and feather those pieces without cutting all the way through. But I'm still dividing them up, you see, so it makes more little feathers. See that? All right, so you're coming around and you go back and you cut, and you come around and you go back and you cut. And actually I made that one kind of wrong, but that's okay, we'll work with that. That's kind of not the angle I was after. I was just trying to show you. Okay, so what you want to do actually is a feather. Let me see, do I have a real feather? Hold on. I do, but of course I have to move things to get to it. Of course. And these are still in the package, but that's okay. I have zip-up bags. Staple's giving me a little hard time here. There we go. All right, let me pull one of these guys out. Set them over there. Okay, so here's a real feather. This is a fluffy feather. This one has down still on it. But if you look at a feather, you can see that, I've got something to point with. I've got a pencil. All right. If you look at the feather, you can see that the little, I don't know what you call these little frond things, but they change their angle. So this one goes like this, and then it gradually starts going this way until it gets up to the top, and it's like that. Okay, that's the basic feather. And sometimes in different birds, it behaves differently. So, but mostly they go that way. All right, if that makes any sense at all. Okay. So I'm going to move my glue because my wire's running into it. All right. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is correct my cut, and go and feather a little like this. There now. Fixed it. Okay. So now I'm just going to keep going. And you can always go back if you don't get it small enough. You can always go back. Like that one, for example. And this is something you can do while you're listening to television, because you obviously have to watch what you're doing. You can't watch the TV screen. But if you've got something going that you can imagine what they're doing, this is good. And you know what would be great for this? You know those scissors that have the multiple, the wide ones, and they have, I don't know what they're called. I think Fiskars has some. Those would be absolutely great for this. I think they're used for like ribbon or something originally. But of course, us crafters have always been able to modify tools to do other things with. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little bit of curving at this point to match my, okay, that's satisfactory. There we go. All right. So you can't really see the cuts yet, but they're starting to behave like a feather. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over and quickly do the other side. And one thing I like about the Timmy scissors is the blade. It is tiny, tiny serrations, and it adds texture to whatever you're doing. Pay attention to the chat. What? They're called barbs? Really? Interesting. Yeah, we need a feather anatomy class. Oh, my hand is getting tired. My scissors need some attention. They're kind of sticky and they're hard to open and close. And I don't like going all the way to the tip, although I do sometimes. Yeah, I'm having a little difficulty with my hand here. Cut. So, after you get to this point, you're going to ink, before you do anything else to them, you're going to ink the little slits. And I'm being kind of careful when I get down to this part, because I'm going to do the little angle and do the little curve. Okay, now, all cut. Okay, let me go grab my ink. Okay. And the tool is best for this. So this is Vintage Photo, my favorite. So what I like to do, and I'm going to do both sides. Oh, sponge is on there crooked. Oopsie. Fix that. There we go. My ink pad needs re-inking. Okay, so this is not easy to do, and as you can see, it's going to raise your little featherings there. I also will put walnut stain on it sometimes, depending on the strength of the paper. This one's fairly fragile. Now, if you can see, part of it is it's got color and part not. And the very inside is mostly going to stay the natural paper color at this point, because I don't want to do that and cover the whole thing. I just want to do it lightly. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on this side. And I'm very carefully sponging across where I've cut. I don't want to rip it, so I have to be careful. But I do want to give it some color. Now, you can also use colored paper to begin with. I love using parchment paper. And I get my parchment paper at Hobby Lobby with a coupon. comes in 2 weights. It comes in paper. It also comes in cardstock weight. I usually buy both, and I try to get them at the same time, or at least match the shadings of the paper, because they don't have color control on the paper, and sometimes the cardstock. Oh, there's somebody at the door. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Okay, sorry, that was FedEx. Got my coffee, yay! I was down to 1 Keurig cup of pumpkin spice. Not good. So, yay! Coffee's here. Okay, so let's see, what was I saying? I totally lost track of where I was. Anyway, oh, I was talking about the parchment and the cardstock. Yeah, the color of the cardstock will be different than the paper if you're not careful, so you kind of got to match it. Sometimes I'll take a sample with me if I'm not going to buy both. Okay, so ink is on. Let me go ahead and put that back in here. All right. So what you want to do now is you're going to treat your edges. Okay, now there's different ways to do this. Sometimes you can just do it with your fingernail and see how they start to curl. You can do that with your fingernail, but you have to be gentle. You don't want to tear your paper. And I would not advise doing this with very, very delicate book text, unless you're going to coat it in the first place and then cut, which is something you could do. You could, before you cut, you have your shape, or just in the book pages itself, just, okay, take the pages, all right, and you just coat the page, coat the text page with matte medium or Mod Podge, or anything like that, just like you're going to seal it, right? So you go ahead and you do that. Then you cut out your leaf. Then you cut, and it gives the paper a little more strength for the texturing part and the inking. So it gives paper a little more strength, okay? And since this book was fairly recent, I didn't need to worry about that. It's a little stronger. So basically what you're doing is, do you remember how you curled a ribbon? Okay, so you curled ribbon, you open up your scissors and you scrape it across the blade. Well, that's essentially what I'm doing with my fingernail underneath the little cuts of paper. See, I'm scraping against my fingernail, just like I was doing the curling ribbon. I didn't think to turn on the coffee pot while I was in there. Oh well. And depending on what you're going to do with your leaf, your feather, but you can do leaves this way too, on a hat. Depending on what you're going to do with it, your application, if it's going to show on both, need some snippets right there. That's the spot. If it's going to show on both sides, then you can do it one way and do it the other. So I'm turning it over, and now I'm doing it the other way. And what this is going to do, it separates the paper and allows it to look a little more ruffled, like a ruffled feather. Okay. Then you can take your hand, you see, because they'll go both directions now. You've got a really rough feather. Okay. Or you can just do it on one side and it looks a little smoother. I don't know if you can see that in this light, but it looks like a feather. And then, of course, you can bend it if you want to, you know. For the wire, depending on your application, if you have floral tape, white floral tape, which, do I have white floral tape? Well, I can get you it. That's a good question. Aha. I have a drawer that has just tape in it. Oh, sorry, I bumped the camera again. So, white floral tape. All right, this will be the perfect thing, provided I can find the end of it. Okay. Biggest challenge, finding the end of the floral tape. Okay, tell you what, I'm just going to rip some off, and haha, there's my end. Alright, that's what I needed with my end. Oops, hello, there. Back in the recycle bin, which is right under my feet. Okay, so you can, you want to stretch it as you go. You can take your floral tape and wind it around. Right, if I can get it to do it. Come on. This wire is pretty thin. Ready to get started. There we go. Okay, so you basically just twirl it at an angle. And make it thicker. And I'm pulling the tape as I go. A little trick learned a long time ago while flower arranging. Alright, we'll get rid of that. And there you have your feather. Now, variations on this. Okay, there's lots of variations on this. Alright. Okay, let me get de-sticky here. Hang on. Can't be very efficient if I'm sticking to everything. I have a piece of a baby wipe here. Okay, let me show you the parchment. And you can be more efficient, you know, as far as placement on the page. You can make yourself templates. Okay, the parchment. Let's see if I have the wrapper without. Yeah, here's the one. Okay, so there's two brands that I have. All right. This one is the cardstock. It's Wasau Papers. All right. And it's 65 pound. So it's cardstock. This is the same. They just print the labeling on this. You can still use the other side. See, very cool. All right, and this one is the paper. It's Strathmore. Now this one says aged, so you pay attention. Depending on what you want, you pay attention to what it says on here. Okay. As you can see, the aged looks different from the regular. You can see the color difference. Okay, the aged is aged. Okay, that's my favorite. The paperweight. This is the paperweight. See, versus the cardstock. Okay. I mostly use the paperweight, and then I keep my little leftovers in there, scraps in there. Let's see, Hobby Lobby, this was $7.99, but I used a coupon, so the 40% off, whatever that was. And there's 50 sheets in this one. There's a bigger pack that you can get as well. Okay, so that's all about the paper. All right. Speaking of, let's use the scraps. Let's make a small one. that back in my filing cabinet. Okay, so here's our feather. I'm going to set that up there. All right, let's make a small feather. Okay, I've got 2 layers there. Okay, got extra, so I'm going to set that back there. And grab a drink of water. Mulberry paper. You know, I've never used mulberry paper. It's very fibrous, though. I don't know if you could feather it this way. Give it a try. Let us know if it works. Oh, okay, so I'm going to fold 2. Make sure I've got 2 layers. Okay, I've got 2. All right, so I'm going to fold it long ways. And this piece of paper, let me see. These are about 3.5 by 5.5. And it was left over from something. Okay, now I'm going to wire. And I'm going to straighten this a tad. Usually I use 2 of these to straighten the wire. I don't know why, I just like to use 2. Alright, that's pretty good. Because you want it to lay flat. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, so once again, you're going to glue. And I'm doing this, you notice, before I cut the feather out. I'm going to try it a little different way. Alright. In the wire. Grabs it pretty well. And then put more on top. Oh, that's a little much, I think. Whoops. Just a little too much. That's okay, we're going to have a little messier inside of the feather. Alright, then you're going to put your other sheet down over that. Okay. Now, this different approach means that each side of the feather is going to be a little bit different in shape. So let me show you what I mean. It's not going to be exactly the same, which is just fine. Okay, so one side of my feather is fatter than the other side. This gives it a look like it's turned. And if you get a package of feathers, and if you look at the feathers, you'll notice that both sides are not exactly the same in most cases. Even the feathers I find in the yard, same thing. Nice catch. Almost dropped those. Okay, and then you can go ahead and cut it out. All right. It's funny how the scissors will sound differently when you're cutting against something wet. Okay, and then recycle bin. Put those down there too. Okay, so here's my feather. Now this time, I'm going to ink it first, and I'm going to, I need to grab my walnut ink. Hold on a second. looking for the sponge. Hold on. I guess we'll just get a new one. And I'm going to take my Sharpie marker and put walnut ink on the bottom. I label my sponges on the bottom. It's very helpful. Okay, walnut. All right. I made my own, this used to be a name stamp or something, yeah, from my dad's stash of stuff. So I just added the Velcro. Took off the old thing and added the Velcro. So now it's an inker. Okay, yeah, we're going to do the lighter one first. So we're going to do the vintage photo first, and I really need to add ink to this. It's getting really dry. I used the heck out of it. This is my favorite. Okay, so basically you're just going to rub over and doing it this way, your edges get their own treatment. It's faster because you don't have to be careful. Oh, we're having rain. Alright, and I'll flip it over and do the other side. So I like to work light to dark when I do double ink or triple ink. Gives it more dimension. And I put the floral tape on the stem at the end. Last thing you do. And you can always ink that too if you want. Okay, so there is the vintage photo. Now I'll go for the walnut ink, and I'm not going to go as deep into it with the walnut stain. Alright. New sponge. Let's see if we can get it going here. Hi, Lori. I don't know if I said hi to everybody, but hi, everybody. Welcome, guests. You want to sign in and join us? Please do. Alright, now let me see if I can get this to work. Yes, there it goes. So you're getting it darker on the very edges. I'm not trying to color it so much as just give it a little depth. So I'm really getting those edges. And you'll see the difference in these two leaves. Of course, the parchment itself makes a big difference. Right, there's one side. See how nice that looks? The 2 layers of ink. Right, now I'll put the walnut stain on this side. And I'm just doing it like barely a 1/4 of an inch in, blending it into the previous layer of ink. And I have to admit that this has got to be my favorite way of doing it because the inking is so much faster. Get a little bit more depth in your color when you do your cuts. It makes a difference. All right, there we go. Okay, now. Okay, so there is feather so far. All right. Okay, let me clean up a little bit, or I'll have ink everywhere. I don't mind it on me, but not on my project. So I'll grab that glue while I'm at it. going to clean, I might as well get that too. Dry it off. Alright. Save that tissue for picking up ants. Okay, now we're going to cut. Okay, and I think this time I'm going to try my little Fisker scissors. Now, I have to be careful with these because I've cut myself with these things. So you have to be careful. And it's not quite dry, so you not want to bend that yet. You're going to tear your paper if you try to bend that wire too soon. Alright, I'm going to start at the tip. And remember, you're just changing your angle slightly. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to do bigger cuts as I'm going around until I get to that angle I want, and then I'm going to go back and snip them. But being careful not to cut all the way through the paper. Okay, need to be careful. Alright. So once you've established the angle you want pretty much, just go ahead and snip without snipping your fingers, which I almost did. And you get a rhythm going, and you can get pretty fine with these scissors. The Timmy scissors, not so much. You know, glasses would really help at this point. I'm doing a finer cut, so I really have to pay attention. Now you also notice when you start fluffing these out that, remember, the two layers are not glued together, just along the wire. So you're going to get more color variation when you start separating these guys, because the natural color of the parchment is going to come through on the paper that's on the inside. That's why you don't want to use single-sided scrapbook paper for this, because you'll have that white on the underside, and you don't want that. Unless, of course, you're doing black and white feathers, and then that's a whole other thing. I want to do some black and white feathers. Okay, there's one side. And I'm going to flip it over and do it this way, so I'm still cutting in the same general direction. Space down a little bit. Be careful. Okay. And you can get really, really fine with these Fisker scissors. Those micro tip ones probably work pretty well for this too. That's what I do my fussy cutting with. Change my angle just a little bit there. Going. And if you make, if you make a mistake and you actually cut some off, that's okay. It's, they don't have to be perfect. You're going to fluff them up anyway. Change my angle just a little bit. Come back. And yeah, this takes a little bit longer than the other one because I'm doing finer cuts. But remember, we already inked. I've been crazy about feathers for years. I've done beaded feathers with size 13 Charlottes. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, And now you're going to do the same process to separate as I did here to curl with my fingernail or up against the fingernail. And I have found no tool more efficient than your hands for this. So I'm going to do it one direction first. Somebody asked me one time, what kind of bird are those feathers from? You got me. The parchment bird? I don't know. Good question. So as you shape it, you'll see how it's turning. And the other side kind of gives a curve that way. Okay. Now let me see, do I like it like that, or do I want to go ahead and feather? Now I think I'm going to go ahead and just do the one side. Then I'm going to take my finger and brush against the grain, like so. Lift and pull. Okay, and see how that separates it a little bit more. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so there's our second feather. I really, really like this. A paper bird, yeah. For sure. A paper bird. Yep. But you see the difference in the paper I love the parchment. That is my favorite thing. But a mix of them, if you do a mix and you want to do an uneven number, if you're going to put these in an arrangement, or if you're going to put them like on the book cover or something, you want to use an odd number. So I would need another one, right? Okay, so there's those two feathers. Let's do another one. I'm still going to use the parchment. I want to do a different shape though. So let me go ahead and fold. And like I said, you can make yourself a template if you want to. And I'm sure there are templates online. Just Google feather template, and I bet you come up with more than enough. Do that, and then images, and you'll find it. Make sure that clothespin is going to stay put before I let loose. Plus I'll have wire everywhere. Okay, this one's not too bad. I don't need to use the pliers, I don't think. Straighten it out. Okay, maybe I will use the pliers. On second thought. And you don't want to do it toward yourself, okay? You want to do it away from yourself. Because if these pliers slip, you're going to whomp yourself in the chin or something. Ask me how I know that. Okay, and we're going to repeat the glue process. I think we'll make this a little bit smaller than that one, I think. Okay, let's see. So I want that to grab the wire. I have to hold this one for a second. Oh, polymer clay feathers on pins. Oh yeah, you know, I did a pin swap, a polymer clay pin swap. I made a cane and shrunk it and cut it and, you know, layered it and stuff. Oh, that was so much fun. haven't done polymer clay in a long time. Alright, you put your second layer of glue down. And put your, whoops, sorry about that. Bumped camera again. Make sure the whole thing has glue. Alright, put your second layer on top of your wire. Cover it up. And kind of feel where your wire is. Yeah, but if you're going to get back into clay, don't buy your clay at Michael's. They don't have fresh clay. I can't remember who I ordered from online. I mean, I didn't be in business anymore. It's been a while. Yeah, you have to be careful because, you know, the chain stores, sometimes their clay is not fresh. And boy, is it hard to condition when it's not. I have a pasta machine, but you shouldn't have to use it, you know. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and do my pencil outline, and I want a little smaller feather than this one. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, I want a little smaller feather. Like so. And I'm going to cut it out with the Timmy scissors because I like the way it does the edges. It has those little tiny serrations. And just cut on the line. Oh, and apparently, right through your wire. That works too. My wire a little too far up. Alright. But that's okay. Not a problem. Goes in the recycle bin because I can always get them out if I need to. Alright, now we're going to ink. We're going to do the lighter one first. Vintage Photo is my favorite. Sorry, bumped the camera again. I keep hitting the tripod leg. And it's not a tripod, it's an easel. It has thinner legs, and it just works better than the camera's tripod on the desk. A little more workspace. Now I've got to re-ink this pad. I'm working a little harder than I should be. Alright, now we're going to go to the walnut stain. Two pasta machines. Oh, wow. Oh, if you have a stash of clay, oh, that's not good. Warm it up. Run it through the pasta machine. That's your best bet. I've got a little mini food processor, too, that sometimes I have to resort to that. Somebody I knew, she stuck hers in the microwave. I'm not trying that. I stick a lot of things in my microwave besides food, but not clay. And I have a dedicated toaster oven for my clay. Which, I haven't done clay in, oh geez, really long time. Okay, inking done. Get out the Fiskars. Now, since my wire is all the way up, I'm going to be very careful not to cut too deeply at the very top. So I'm going to be real careful around that wire. Okay. And I'm going to have to go to the grocery store pretty soon. I haven't been out in a week. Really didn't want to give anyone else the flu. I'm going to change my angle a little bit. I don't know what made me think about these yesterday. I don't remember what I was thinking about. There's one side. I woke up this morning and I thought, I'm going to make paper fingers. And then I realized what time it was. Oops! No prep time today. Change my angle a little bit. Right, there we go. Right, now we're going to do curling part. Could have made these cuts a little bit deeper. I think I might have liked it a little bit better. Yeah, and do leaves this way too, so if you wouldn't cut the leaves, it's fine. Unless you were doing like a fern or something. Alright, and I think I'm going to do both sides on this one. Since it's small, it can handle it without being too curly. Careful not to tear your paper. Alright, and then on your finger, get it the way you want it to look, and I just uncovered my wire because I forgot it wasn't dry yet. I have to hold that back on. Oh, you've been rolling paper trees? That's cool. A mini forest. No idea what to do with them. Well, I imagine an idea will come to you. It'll come. I've done that. I'd be doing something and not know what to do with it until it's finished. So I'm sure an idea will come. Okay, so there's the other feather. So now we have a set of 3. Like so. And you could put these on the cover of a book. You could put them in a shadow box. You can put tape on all 3 of the stems at the same time, so you just have one stem. You can put them in a flower arrangement. All kinds of things you can do with them. Yeah, the process. Yeah, I'm a process person too. Yeah. That's why I knit and knit and knit and without a, I make lots of things and then I give them away. Thanks, Eileen. Fun, fun, fun. All right, I'm going to try bending this one just a little bit, even though it's still a little wet. I want to give it a little shape so it can look just a little bit different when it's in the stack. So I think I like this idea right here. You can always bend and bend, up and back, and then up again, like a roller coaster. So you can give them shape and dimension, and you guys probably can't really see that, but bend your wires and get the shape going. So, let's see, what could we do? I think I would like to make this stack to sit on top of my stack of books. So I want some kind of ornament. Let's see what I want. Let me see what I can grab. I'm across the room looking in my Alex cart drawers. That's where all my divider boxes are. Bear with me. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, now I need a piece of twine. Okay. So we're going to make a, let's see which one of these keys I like. No, silver one, don't like that one. Too small. I think this one. So this is a, it's a stone that was cut and carved into to look like a Chinese coin. And I don't know what kind of stone it is. It looks like it might be some kind of jasper. Yeah. So I'm going to lay that down, put the key on top, and I've got another piece. Let's see. Oh, what was I doing? I was braiding something with this one. Oh dear. Practicing, I guess. Untwist this. I've gotten it braided. I was doing one of those circular braided bracelet things. And I was just practicing with a piece of cord I just happened to have out on the desk at the time I thought about doing it. So now I've got to unbraid it so I can use it. Almost there. Sorry, guys. Having to watch me unbraid this thing. But I hate to waste. Materials. There we go. All right. Better. Okay. Now, so I'm going to take a double piece of that, plus a piece of this other one. It's two different kinds of twine. And I want to knot it, get it even, and then I want to knot it in the center around all of these things. Oops, sorry. Did it again. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to it. Alright, and I'm going to leave that shorter piece and grab the other ends and go ahead and tie a bow. So that if I ever want to use any of these things individually, I can undo it, and there they are. Alright, so there's our little accessory, which is going to sit on top of, getting a little stack. We're stacked back together here. Slide that back in there. And I'm going to tie it back together because it's easier to do that when it's in my lap. I'm just going to tie my stack of books back together, or my text blocks. They're not actually books anymore. Text blocks. Just this way. And I've just got them tied with twine and a ripped piece of muslin. Good heavens, my stomach is really grumbling. Okay, so let me set it up here so you can see what it looks like. There, isn't that cute? That is so cute. And then I won't be tempted to put anything on top of it. Yeah, this is hemp twine. I love this stuff. It's very rustic and natural. I just love it. So there we have a home decor piece. Of course, you can do this to, you know, normal books too. I mean, you know, that works too. But in here in the studio, it's not only functional, but it's also a supply. Thanks, guys. So now you know how to make paper feathers. Oh, goodness. Okay, so I thought I would also do some talking about paper beads. I found some wallpaper that I had. What did I do? Oh, it's over there. Okay, never mind. Yes, okay. In the box here. So I don't know if any of you guys go to, you know, Lowe's and Home Depot and places like that and grab wallpaper samples. I do that. This guy. I do that all the time. Now, I bought a roll of wallpaper. Well, actually, I think this one was supposed to be for my mom's new house, but we ended up not using it. But they come in, you know, a roll, right? And so you can make the strips for beads as long as you want. Okay, so here is a 1-inch bead. Let's see if I can get it. The overhead's not quite going to get it, so let me go back to the lamp. All right, so it's 1 inch wide, narrows to a point. And you have to do this with the craft knife or rotary cutter. So you need a long ruler or a straight edge to do this one. So usually what I'll do is take my ruler. Well, okay. I don't have my long ruler handy, but if you guys can see my Temi ruler. Okay, so I'll mark 1 inch and then narrow it down. If you follow that, you can narrow it down. But since this is a short ruler, you know, pretend this is longer. Okay, it goes all the way to the end. But you're going to narrow it down until it disappears. So that's your triangle that you roll your bead with, right there. Except you would do it your full length of your paper. And this one is about 15 inches. Yeah. So I did 15 inches. So 1 inch wide by 15 inches. And I did it on the larger roller. Let's see, I don't know if you guys can see the hole is kind of large on that one. See that? So that you can use like leather cord, which this hasn't been opened yet. This leather cord stuff. I got this at Hobby Lobby. It says well, it doesn't actually give me a size. Well, anyway, it'll fit through this hole. It doesn't give me a size. No idea. It just says there's 25 yards on here, but it doesn't tell me what size it is. Anyway, you get the leather cord, and it fits through the hole. So then you can put your beads on the leather cord instead of having to use, you know, fancy clasp or more beads, or you know. So you can make like 3 of these with smaller ones in between. Just uneven numbers is always good. Just remember that. But anyway, it's really pretty, and this paper has a shimmer to it. It's like I sprayed it with glimmer mist, but I didn't. It came that way. So those are lots of fun. So there's a little blurb about paper beads. Use your wallpaper samples, because they'll give you a, you know, I mean, you can get a good length to it. The samples are usually the border size, you know, like they're like 6 inches wide. You can get a lot of beads out of that. Okay, you can also make beads out of corrugate. So let me show you that. Okay, this right here is, I'm going to yell into the camera. I was standing up. This right here is from a light bulb package, okay? But you can use this corrugate to roll beads. You can also use, provided I can find it. I may have given it to my granddaughter. Wait a second. Yep, I think I gave it to the granddaughter. You know the packages of tuna that you get in the grocery store, and they come in that box for display, you know, and you pick the packets of tuna out of there. Well, usually when I come to the tuna, I usually buy 4 to 6 packets at a time, and there's usually maybe only that many left in the display box. So I just grab the display box, I bring it home, and inside that display box is a piece of corrugate, and it runs down the side, across the bottom, and up the other side. I guess it adds strength to the box. I don't really know what its purpose is, but you can use that to roll beads. The box itself is a book stand. I've given a few to my granddaughter, and she uses them to hold her books. So that's another thing. Let me see. There was something else I was going to tell you. Don't remember right now. Okay, so let me just pick up the beads. Now these have already been glazed. These are the little 1/4" round beads. These have already been glazed, and these are from a catalog, clothing catalog. So they're pretty colorful. I like cutting the strips way ahead of time, so I have a lot of strips. And I'll wrap them up separately. Now I got this wrapping them up, I got this idea from a woman. Her name is Janice May on YouTube. It's Janice and then M-A-E. She has a bead rolling business. But I got this idea from her, just to keep everything nice and tidy. And then my roller, my actual roller, okay, I hope I didn't go pick that up because the lid's not on. I have modified a tool and made my own roller and covered it with paper. So now I have a very pretty dark red music paper tool. This is my most favorite one. It's really comfortable for me, and I like it so that it's long enough to bump up against my hand for balance. It just aids in the rolling like that. So I thought I'd give you guys a few tips. And also, I put my diamond glaze in an old nail polish bottle. This was a clear coat. I soaked the bottle in polish remover. Got the brush, you know, as soft as it can get because it is an actual nylon brush, which I do like for coating the beads because it kind of wraps itself around the bead as you're brushing it on. Pretty cool. Oh, excellent. Excellent, Carol. Very good. And the corrugate by dampening and the glue loosens. Oh, very good idea. I hadn't thought about that. Good idea. Yeah. So I've got to take all these off and separate them into the colors. What I want to do next, oh, I didn't show you guys Charlie's bracelet that I finished. Let me show you that. Let's see, where did I put it? Okay, so the pocket is, you know, it's been done. It's ready to go. So here's the pocket from the Streamathon. All right. And that's going to go out in the mail. And then this is Charlie's bracelet. This goes great with denim. I love this. Really goes wonderful with denim. Now it's too big for me, but she gave me her measurement, and so I finished it up. So it's all ready to go. I just couldn't get to the post office just yet. But I haven't had a fever for several days, so I mean for 2 days, so I can go now. Let's see, what else have I been doing? Oh, I have been making Sophistication. That is Kathy Orta's November Kit Club project. Show you guys that. So far, anyway, I ran out of brown cardstock, so I got stuck. I put it in a Ziploc bag so it would stay together. So this is the cover. There's the hidden hinge. Okay. And these are the pages. Let's see if I can scoot that over. So the pages are, oh, these are so cool. So these are ready to go into the book. It's just I wanted to, there's some other pockets that go in, but I ran out of this chocolate brown cardstock to do it. But this is the Fleur-de-Lis EK Success punch. And she's designed it so you can slide stuff in here. And you open this up, and there's 2 tags in this holder. these two holders. So these are two pockets, and these flip like this, okay? And there's two more pockets here. And there's some more elements that go here and here, but I haven't gotten that far yet. But here's the two flip over pockets. And when we turn that over, there's another pocket back here. So you can do more flip outs and stuff. Oh my, this is just, it's wonderful. I love this. So then this one, we've alternated the golden yellow cardstock with the mint green. And these do the same thing. They do the flipping. So these are all the base pages. So they're done except for adding the other elements that go with them. So what I've done is I've done 6 pockets or 3 pages with the golden yellow and then alternated with the mint green. But I like this. And I'm thinking this might be the album that I'm going to scrap lift Barb's idea. Well, I guess it's not scrap lifting, but Barb's idea of, remember last year she had an album and she and her husband would go places, you know, and she'd fill in and put pictures of what stuff they did every month. I think that might be what I'm going to do with this one. I mean, January's just starting, and as soon as the weather and my flu goes away for sure, we'll go start doing stuff. And so I think this is going to be the perfect thing for that. So that's really cool. I love this. All right. Okay, well, I am tired, guys. This flu, I mean, it has really knocked me down. So I'll let you guys look at the pretty feathers. That way. I love this. I love this. Oh my goodness. Even though I didn't, I love it. All right, so I'm going to go, and I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. And if you guys have any questions about the feathers or anything, I'm on Twitter. So probably DMing me would probably be the best way to get my attention. So, all right. I will let you guys go. I will see you guys at Barb's. We don't know what she's doing today, right? Okay. Thanks for coming by. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Have a good weekend. Stay warm.